It's called If It Was Easy, They'd Call the Whole Damn Thing a Honeymoon, Living with and Loving the TV Addicted, Sex Obsessed, Not So Handy Man You Married. Please welcome Jenna McCarthy and Debbie up to the stage.
Thank you very much, Andrew, for saying the title of the book. I was going to have to carry it up with me because I knew I'd never remember it.
It's quite long.
Is it the longest ever, do you think?
I've been asked that so many times. No, in fact, the longest book title is something like 2,000 words, and I'm not kidding. But yeah, I think mine's 27. It's not that hard.
Not that hard. If it was easy, they'd call the whole damn thing a honeymoon.
Right? Wouldn't they?
You're going to probably save a lot of marriages with this book. You say right out, it's not worth getting. Now, sorry, Meredith, this is exactly against what you said, but you say it's not worth getting a divorce.
I mean, there are 32 disclaimers that go with that statement. If it's abusive, if it's not what you want, if you're not married to the sex of the person that you're attracted to, all of those things, yes, then it's probably those situations, of course, get a divorce, get out of there. But I talk about in my book about, I call it marital minutia, the things that we come home and we go, every day, he leaves the drawer open an inch. How hard is it to close that 1 inch? Is that going to kill him? What? He's doing this on purpose. He's trying to annoy me to death. He's not. That's the kind of stuff that I say we just kind of need to get past that a little bit.
And
thank you.
Please feel free to support Jenna in what she's saying because it really is amazing. You use a quote from Ogden Nash: "All husbands are alike, but they have different faces so you can tell them apart."
That makes it convenient,
Do
right?
you really think they're all alike?
I've had so many women write to me since this book came out saying, "I didn't know my husband was married to you too." No, they're all the same. In a good way, too, in the good ways.
Well, how do we determine if we're a mostly happy wife? What should we ask ourselves?
Well, I have a little exercise that I use in the book, and I ask readers to think about that one thing, the one thing of all the millions of things that he might do that's a little annoying.
You got it, ladies?
Let me also back up and say, I fully confess all of my annoying little tics. I mean, both of my annoying little tics in this book. So, this is not man bashing at all. It's very man loving and marriage loving. But what I suggest women do is take that one thing that might be a little bit annoying, the drawer not quite closed. I had the gal who wrote to me saying, "My husband eats ice cream every night with the tiniest spoon in the house." And he goes out of his way to find that teeny tiny spoon, and I sit there and I have to listen to the spoon hitting the side of the bowl every night and she's irate about this. So she was going to write that down on a piece of paper. She was going to write his name. Bob eats with that little teeny tiny spoon that's driving me crazy. And we're all going to write that thing, and we're going to throw it into a big, huge bowl. I call it the bowl the size of Texas, so it's the Texas bowl experiment. And you're going to throw your piece of paper in there, and then you can pick another one at random. And I go ahead and I read a few from the bowl, from the thousands of letters I got in writing this book. And just to give you an idea of what you might get. So now you have to decide. Do you want little ice cream spoon guy back? Or do you want one of these other really, and some of them are really bad, ladies. Some of them are really bad. So, that's where you have to decide. And if you say, you know what, ice cream spoon guy, I can live with that. Mostly happy. You're mostly happy.
What's the second part of the exercise?
I forget
the celebrity.
Oh, yeah, you have to decide, if you're celebrity guy, you have to ask yourself, sorry, let's go back. You have to think about your husband again. Don't think about celebrity. I know it's hard because I already said that, but you're going to think about your own partner, and you're going to think about the greatest thing he does. And everybody's has one. My husband makes my coffee exactly the way I like it, and I am a pain in the rear. It has to be the right color and the right sugar ratio, and he nails it every time. So you think about that thing. And then, now this is a fun part because you get to picture your celebrity fantasy guy. And you say, what are the odds that celebrity fantasy guy is going to make my coffee like that, and also not eat ice cream with the little teeny tiny spoon? So it's about balance.
So if you decide your husband's the one you want, you're a mostly happy wife,
Mostly
right?
happy wife.
Can you explain to us what male pattern blindness is?
Why, I think I can. I think the easiest way is to demonstrate what it looks like in your house. And in your house, no, I said your house, not my house. In your house, it probably looks like where your husband will go to the refrigerator and he'll open it up and he'll stand there staring into the contents and then say something like, "We have any milk?" And you're really nice and sweet when you say, maybe you should look behind that big white gallon of stuff. It's probably hiding there, honey. Or you're just in the living room enjoying a nice American Idol episode, and he looks at you, and he means this, genuinely. He looks at you and he says, "Do we have any ice cream?" Let me check the mental inventory. We do! We totally do have ice cream. He wants you to get it. Hello.
Speaking of that, how do men manage to get out of their fair share of the housework? Something that Sally told you?
My friend Sally is actually a man, and his name isn't Sally, but I said I'd change his name. And this is actually, I did, because his wife is famous, and he's got to protect himself. I came up with a scientific name for what he told me men do, and it's called sucking on purpose. Yeah, they suck on purpose. This came straight from a man. I did not make this up. He said, when you say, "Honey, want to help me fold this laundry?" And they go, "Oh, sure. Yeah, I can fold laundry. I'm a guy. I can fold a mean towel." And then you hand him the towel, and he kind of wads it, and he purposely, ladies, misaligns the corners, and he throws it down on the table with a flourish. Aha! I folded that towel just the way you like it, didn't I? Sucking on purpose. Sucking on purpose.
And it works, because we don't ask
We
them
go,
again,
"Fine,
right?
I'll fold the laundry."
Where's my husband sitting?
Again, your husband's. My husband does not suck on purpose or even on accident.
All right.
I do.
The book says something else. Okay, now having said that, tell us about the study that came out that if men do more housework, what do they get more of?
Yeah, well, the more housework a man does, the more attractive his partner will find him. This was actual study, because we needed a study to tell us that we think it's hot when they're pushing the Swiffer around. That's hot. That is looking good. So yeah, and then obviously, this is sort of my own extrapolation. The more attracted we are to our partners, the more sex we're gonna have. So then everybody's happy, and then the house is all clean, and it's kind of it's just a straight shot to that mostly happy.
Which is really a good reason for men to really get going with the housework and do it right.
How many times do they have to hear these results before they're gonna start doing something?
Do you think date night is a good idea to keep a marriage alive?
Yeah, no. God, my poor husband. I can't see him, but he's somewhere over there. Actually, if there's like a lump
he left, actually.
poking out from underneath the tablecloth, that might be him. No, I don't know what it is. My theory is that, it's date night. There's a lot of pressure going on. We have small kids, and getting out of the house is kind of a big deal. And like, if I'm gonna shave my legs and put on mascara, like that's a lot of pressure. We're gonna have fun if it kills us. And more often than not, we are fighting before the babysitter even gets there. I mean, it happens every time. We have literally gotten into the car not speaking, and we haven't decided where we're going yet, so you're driving to the restaurant that you haven't agreed on yet, and both of you are going, so where are we going anyways? And then you throw out where you want to go. I don't want to go there. Well, then you pick, because I don't even want to be on a date with you right now. It's terrible. It's terrible. You stay home, you watch Modern Family, you have a glass of wine. There's no pressure. And then you can have fun.
Jenna, your career as a writer, a book writer, actually started by a failure on your 25th birthday. Do you want to tell us about that?
I don't remember most of it, but no, my first portion of my writing career, I worked in an advertising agency, so I wrote really catchy jingles about bananas being on sale for 99 cents a pound. I could sing it, but I won't. And anyways, it was this killer job. I was 24 years old. I was in a big high rise, and I had a glass office. And like, as far as I was concerned, I had made it. 30-something was a popular TV show. What more could we had a basketball net in the hallway. It was fun. I had, respect of my peers, and it was a really fun gig. And I showed up to work on my 25th birthday, and there were policemen all over the lobby. And of course, I was like, it was in a bank building, so I was like, oh, I hope the bank didn't get robbed. But anyways, hi guys. And then I got in the elevator, and I went up to my 16th floor, and it was policemen again. And I was like, who would rob an advertising agency? This is so weird. And so then one of my friends pulls me over, and she says, we lost our biggest account, and they're laying off 75% of the staff. And I was like, oh, those poor bastards. Yeah, I can you imagine like showing up for work and being told you don't have a job anymore? And I literally went in my office and was like working. Yeah. And my boss called me into her office, and I was like, is it going okay? And she was like, Jenna, you're fired. No, the 75, oh. Yeah, so I was like that guy in the movie with my little stapler and as many Post-it notes as I could steal, and I had my little box, and I was like, I'm not really sure what you're supposed to do when you don't have a job. So it turned into I had to do something because I was poor, and I had but one skill, and it was writing. So I started writing, and I started freelancing, and it actually. I was in Florida at the time, and I wrote something for a big national magazine, and they liked it, and they wanted to interview me, and it just turned into this upward spiral.
Well, that was 17 magazine, right?
And it was. My first job was at 17 magazine.
And then to Mademoiselle.
And Mademoiselle.
And then you came to the West Coast.
I did.
How did that happen?
I came out to visit a girlfriend, and it was 1996, and it was the blizzard of 96. And there was snow taller than cars on the streets of Manhattan. And I came out to LA, and people were rollerblading in bikinis. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going back. I mean, really, I'm not going back. So I bought furniture, and she was like, what are you going to do with that? And I said, well, I'm going to leave it at your apartment until I get back here in a month. And I made her a promise, and I was working at Mademoiselle at the time. And I went back, and I said, I love you guys. I love this magazine. This is the greatest job I've ever had, but I have to leave Manhattan. And they said, well, you can do what you do from the West Coast. So I was a West Coast editor for a while, and then I started working at Shape, which was in LA, the only magazine kind of based in LA. And then eventually I just went freelance.
And when you came to Santa Barbara, you managed to get on the radio with Matt McAllister on KTYD.
Did.
How did that come about?
That was, again, one of the biggest professional flukes of my life. I was writing, and my freelance career was going really well, and then, unfortunately, 9/11 occurred, which was obviously tragic on every level. But when I was a self-employed freelance writer for magazines, and the magazine industry kind of froze in its tracks, and they were like, we don't know if we're going to have an advertiser next month. We don't know if this is going to continue. So the assignment started drying up, and I started panicking. And Matt had been a really good friend of mine for years, since he had moved to town, and I was in the room when their daughter was born, and we were really good friends, and he had been saying for about a year he was looking for a female partner, and why don't you try it? And I said, because like that whole cockpit thing is scary looking, and I don't know how, I don't know, that's not my training, and my God, you have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. No, nothing about that appeals to me on any level. And then I was in a situation where I was worried about if the writing was going to continue, and he kept asking, and I said, I'll try it. I'll try it for 1 week, and honest to God, it was the funnest thing I've ever done, except for the getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning part. That was not fun.
You are now writing you're the author of 2 very successful books, The Parent Trip and The Honeymoon. How do you write your books, Jenna? I mean, because it sounds as though it's kind of stream of consciousness the way you write. It's so much fun to read because you can just get into Jenna's head and feel like you're there.
Oh, I hope so. It's crazy in there. I'm sorry about that. You know, I have 20 years experience as a magazine writer, and magazine articles are 2,000 to 5,000 words. So I set little mini deadlines for myself. So with this book, it was like I just had to write a chapter a week. I got to write a chapter a week because I was still doing all the magazine stuff on the side. So to me, each chapter is like a little mini, you know, book in and of itself, and I would get to the end and then, of course, morph it once all those pieces are done. I'm pretty regimented. Like, I get up, I do it, I get the hard part done first, and then have fun.
Good for you. That's very self-disciplined. You know, there's a wonderful trailer on the internet if you go to JennaMcCarthy.com, which is a trailer for the Honeymoon book. And it is hilariously funny. You've got Joe in it. Joe is her husband. You've got Joe in it.
The cowering guy over there.
You actually gave him an opportunity to get his 2 cents in at the end of the book.
Well, of course, because, I mean, the poor man. Can people imagine being married to me? It is not an easy life he has. You know, I was on the radio. We would get in a fight in the morning, and I would go, "I'll see you from the air." Like, you know, I mean, I broadcast daily. I mean, I have humiliated him for years, and he's used to it. But at the end of this book, I said, "Okay, you can write. You have like this much space. So whatever you can say in that much space." And he basically said, "You know, my wife is a writer, so take it with a grain of salt, except for the parts where I come off looking really fantastic." And obviously, those are all true.
Well, there are many, many laugh-out-loud passages in your book. Has Hollywood taken notice at all?
Actually, they have.
Oh.
I'm not at liberty to give specifics, but I will tell you that a major network studio has purchased the TV rights to this book. So on the off chance that I have not humiliated my husband enough, you guys may be watching The Joe Show on prime time one day soon.
What's next for Jenna McCarthy?
I'm simmering 2 ideas right now. My fantasy is I want to get into fiction. I want to, obviously, humorous fiction, because it has to be funny or I don't want to write it. So I have a kernel of an idea for a novel, and then I have another, more in the vein of this book, and I may try to do them at the same time.
We need you to be disciplined, sit down at your
I'm on
computer,
it.
and get some writing done, because it's an absolutely wonderful read. JennaMcCarthy.com. The name of the book, Andrew?
You want me to say it?
Yes, okay, Jenna.
If it was easy, they'd call the whole damn thing a honeymoon. Living with and loving the TV-addicted, sex-obsessed, not-so-handy man. You married.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Jenna,
you,
for
Debbie.
coming. It was wonderful.
Love it. Love it.